every match that I watch, he will do something world class, or multiple times.
Okay, Joe. A lot of talk this week. We saw doing the rounds about underrated players. Maybe some of the players in the Prem that don't get their flowers. We've got Nieve with brilliant insight as always on the show. So it gave us a little idea, didn't it?
Yeah, we're going to build out Nieve's underrated 11. We'll go position by position. Before we get into it, I think it's important. What's your definition of underrated here, Nieve?
That is very good. It's hard to actually come up with one set that you don't kind of like move around a little bit. But I would maybe say, I think time in football goes so quickly, and maybe you can get stuck on a perception of a player. But maybe you've got to keep up to date with that, with their improvements and just what they're doing.
OK,
good. Because there's always that debate, isn't there? What's underrated, what's not. So I think that's good.
But we'll go position by position, right? And some players might have their own definition a little bit. So let's start in goal.
Yes. So I've gone with Quabeen Kelleher in goal. And I just look at how Brentford are doing in the table and his involvement in that. I think it's perhaps maybe even bigger than people realise. And I just think that deal in general for all parties was massively underrated. I don't think any of us really saw it for us how important it could end up being in terms of some of the saves that he's made in games. That save against Arsenal in the last minute was unbelievable. And I think the environment that he's in and the platform it's given him at Brentford, it's just been the best move, and he's been brilliant.
Great penalty record as well. Saved 3 Premier League penalties this season. No other keeper saved more than 1. Also saved the penalty from Ronaldo, didn't he, in the internationals as well? So
sort of great
penalty record. You
know, when you're second keeper for a big club, kind of desire might be there to sort of stay. The fact that he seeked to move and wanted to play.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Yes, I've gone with Mateus Nunes, and that sort of plays into that idea I've got about time.
Yeah.
Because I do think that with him it comes from the fact that his improvement this season made that position his own. I maybe think we might underestimate how difficult that has been to sort of move into a new position. And I just think that City look a lot more assured with him in the team, which says a lot. His involvement in attacks seems to be increasing a lot as well. So, like, not only is he making those runs, they're actually passing the ball to him, and then he's responsible for putting it into the box, and he's successful with it. And I just think it's a real good example of resilience to make that position his.
Do you think a factor in why you're putting him down as underrated? Because he plays all the time, doesn't he? 23 appearances for Man City this season, but Man City are always linked with right-backs, aren't they? Particularly since they've lost Kyle Walker. So do you think that almost it emphasises your point that many people think he's underrated because they're always linked with a replacement?
Yeah, I almost think it's like a moment there where they've got him, but they're looking for a right back. Got him looking for a right back. Actually, do you know what? We've got the right back. And maybe it's just took time to adjust from having someone like Kyle Walker for so many years, who is such a distinctive right back that they had, and they've got to adjust to the new right back that they've got.
OK,
stick him up.
Flav, do the honours, please, mate.
There you go.
First centre-back, who have you gone for?
Marcos Senesi, and I think it stems from the fact that there's been so much disruption to that Bournemouth defence, and obviously he's been there for the last few years, and I think back to, it was Carragher that had mentioned about how like top centre-backs will make the centre-backs next to them look really good as well, because he helps them just focus on their role. And I've just noticed that every time Senesi plays as someone, and the most recent one is James Hill, who's come into the side this year, and I think he's been I was even tempted to put him in, but he's maybe more of a prospect as opposed to underrated. But you're watching games where his sort of positioning and ability to cover for the centre-back next to him, and for Trofeo, who likes to go further up, allows them to do what they need to do. So James Hill can focus on man-to-man tracking the play he needs to track. Most recently, a few days ago against Everton, Tieno Barry comfortably dealt with him. And I think that there's something to be said about that player that sort of platforms that and allows that and is that sweeper. And also he's out of contract in the summer, which is interesting, because I think there are a few clubs that maybe should look at him.
He was understudy, wasn't he?
Dean Howson and Zabani last year.
And he didn't play, and he's come back in, and it's been sensational. And I think he'll get a big move.
Okay,
he's
next
got
centre-back.
qualities to his game. Lisandro Martinez, yes. This, I think, stems from the fact that with him, it disappoints me that I think the noise around, whether it be the physicality or the height or can he be a centre-back, that noise is always very loud. But I think the noise about his positive attributes or how he's been, especially since he's come back from injury, hasn't been as loud. And maybe because it's the centre-back position, but we focus on those attributes that are lacking maybe, but not the fact that he's such a good footballer, and he's so clever. Some of the touches as well, when it drops down, he brings it down. I think it was Jared Bowen that he just went passive ease on the turn, so comfortable on the ball, and he tracks players really well. I think his cleverness as a footballer and all-round ability as a footballer completely outweighs any flaws he's got. And if a player maybe in centre-back position had the flaws that were to do with their footballing ability but not the physicality, maybe we wouldn't make as much noise on it.
Flav, do you think he's underrated?
Yeah, and a lot of it is very sort of, unfortunate commentary from, ex-pros who, used his height and weight as a way to diminish what a great centre-back he is. And the irony was that a lot of that was around what Haaland was going to do to him, and Haaland did nothing to him. He had an incredible game against City.
OK, left back, who are you gone for?
Lewis Hall. Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, World Cup, left-back position, England, strong candidate for me, but he has been for a while. I just think he's a total dream if you're a winger to play with, because he's always makes himself available, makes great runs, but his ability on the ball is really, really good. So you can really connect. And when Gordon plays on the left and he plays left back, I just think the way they work together is brilliant. I just think he's so comfortable.
Yeah, he's a top player. It's interesting you mentioned England there, because Thomas Tuchel's used 5 different left backs in 10 games in charge of England. So it's a position that he's chopped and changed a lot. A lot of that has been due to injuries to various players. Who do you think would start at left back if everyone's fit? Would it be Lewis Hall for you?
Going into the World Cup, they need to be playing. I think in terms of quality, you'd look at Lewis Skelly, but he's not playing enough to really be considered. So Lewis Hall or Jed Spence, who isn't really a left back anyway. So I love Lewis Hall. I think he's quality. Definitely underrated.
OK, let's get him up.
Cool.
Into the midfield then. Deepest line position.
Ethan Ampadu, I've gone for in midfield. And when he plays that midfield role where he's sort of just in front of the defence and he's a little bit deeper, I think his leadership's brilliant. I think what Leeds need, because Leeds, their form, obviously they started the season not particularly great, but then they've grown into the season, they've had some amazing results, they've played some good football at times as well, some of their goals have been really well worked out. I think he's a huge part of that. He's very much raising the standards footballer. A lot goes through him in midfield, but then off the ball as well, he's sort of directing the other players on the pitch. And then when you get towards the end of the game, it will be, you need that player on the pitch that sort of makes sure that you don't drop below a certain amount so you can see out a game. And I think for him, he's still quite young, but to have that ability, to have that leadership and be the captain, I think he plays a really good role.
It's a really
for
good
them.
point. We both interviewed him before. He's such an intelligent guy and such a respected member of the team. And he's been leader and captain material from such a young age. And I think actually what he brings, I don't know if you can agree with this, but he brings a lot off the pitch as well in terms of that responsibility and leadership. So I'm glad you mentioned leadership qualities, because I think it's a good shout. So you've got 2 other midfielders. Who's the next one you're going for? Boubacar Kamara, OK.
Boubacar Kamara, I just think that he's like calmness personified, whether that be on the ball or even actually off the ball as well. And like, for example, when Villa play a higher line and they're sort of coming back and running back, and he never really makes a rash tackle, he seems quite assured in it, and that's why I think a lot of his tackles are very much sort of coming back towards tackling, then Villa go back up the pitch. And then also I think his ability to sort of see the danger as it's coming into the box as well and run and intercept that and turn for Villa. I think he's so important to them.
He's obviously out for the rest of the season. It's like
such a
hammer
shame
blow
that, isn't
for
it?
Villa. I mean, Flav, he is absolutely one of the most underrated players in the league flat out, isn't he, Kamara?
He got injured against Spurs, and the reaction to that from the Villa fans was they were devastated. They've done a lot of good work. I think Villa realised how big a miss he was going to be, because they went quite big in the January transfer window to replace him. So, huge player for the future as well.
And he's one that when he doesn't play, the statistics are so different. 71% win rate with him in the team, 33% without him in the team.
Crazy,
staggering.
OK, let's get him up. And the next one I think is maybe the most controversial pick of the bunch here.
But I actually think I had a bit of a duty to do this, a personal duty to do this. I've gone with Bruno Fernandes. And I think it's because there's a lot of debate, and I've been involved in this as well. There's a lot of debate, is he world class, is he not world class? And I almost think, since locking in on Bruno in a match, every match that I watch, he will do something world class, or multiple times. He will do something that there's a certain calibre calibre of player that can only do that. You know, obviously a standout one this season, just after one of my last Saturday socials, was when they went to Liverpool and he puts the ball straight back in for Maguire with that pass. The weight of his passes, he knows that it's just such delicate passes. So it's on a play. There was one from Mount against Wolves, I think. When he lets the ball run through his legs and goes past players, I think he did it against Calvin Bassey. You can pinpoint moments just in this season alone where he's done things that there's only that level of player can do. So I don't think there should be a debate anymore if he's world class. I think the debate itself, maybe it stems around people not liking his character or the way he is. That makes him underrated.
Do you think he's underrated, Flav?
I think people rate him. Obviously, they know how good a player he is, but I don't think they rate him enough. I think people put Bernardo Silva above him as a player, and I don't think he is. I think Fernandes, if he was playing in a stable environment under a manager like Guardiola and not having to deal with the mess that Man United have been in recent times, they'd be talking. I don't think there's much to separate, if anything, Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes. So in that metric, he's underrated.
I feel maybe the difference could be, because I think Bernardo Silva's brilliant. Bernardo Silva can have a game where he's top tier and do all the right things, and then City win that game. Whereas there'll have been lots of games where he can do all the right things, but Man United will still maybe lose that game, and that will be the big talking point. But I think as we're seeing sort of recently, like some of Dorgu's movement for him, his relationship building with Mbeumo as well. Maybe Sesko, I know he missed that one opportunity, but he's growing in confidence. And as there's more runners and there's maybe better quality in goal, you might even see it's this stage in his United career when people start to realise what he is.
I think it's quite interesting, Nick, because amongst players, I think he's extremely highly rated. Like whenever we go and do a feature with a player, we say who's the best attacking midfielder in the league. Like we did it with Kevin De Bruyne. He said Bruno. We did it recently with Morgan Rogers, who's the best number 10 in the world. He said Bruno. I think amongst the players, they definitely rate him. But I agree. I think maybe some people have a sort of vision of him where he moans a little bit, which I think as a Man United fan is very unfair, and that kind of sculpts how they see him on the pitch. But from an output perspective, 200 goal involvements in 300 games, it's unmatchable. Like it's off the scale good from midfield.
I'd agree with that as well. I think numbers-wise, statistically, the goals to game is staggering. It has been throughout his career. And I was interested in hearing a lot of pundits talk about the fact that last week, actually, that if he was playing in a different Man United era, the years when you were winning multiple Premier League trophies, that he'd actually be regarded as one of the greatest ever midfield players. But because he's in an era where you still win trophies, but not to the level you were in the 90s, that I think people do sleep on actually just how good he is. So it's an interesting debate. Let us know what you think at home. Is Bruno Fernandes underrated or not? Nieve, let's go to your next position.
Right wing. I've gone with Harry Wilson, and I actually think he's starting to. And I think
the goals catalogue.
I think those goals as well that he's scored as well, people are starting to talk positively about him. But I think back to the summer. I know he's out of contract this summer, so maybe that played a part in this. But I think back to Leeds putting in an offer for $7 million for him. And I just think that in itself maybe suggests a bit of underestimation of what a player like him can bring in terms of that star play and being able to create those big moments, sort of like that for you that get you the 3 points where you'd otherwise maybe not.
It's his ball striking. I mean, he's always been able to do it, Harry Wilson, hasn't he? I remember him scoring free kicks for days, but his ball striking this season.
The range of goals as well, outside of the boot, from distance.
The goal against you, boys. Flav, you must remember that well, man.
Of course I do, I remember it. Thank you for that.
8 goals, 4 assists is certainly a player in form. That's good, a good shout. So Harry Wilson takes the right wing spot.
Where do you think he could go in the summer? What level of club? Because he's out of contract.
Would you have him at Tottenham?
Will we have him at Tottenham?
Would you?
I think I probably would you?
You've got to look at him,
Would you have him at Spurs?
Yeah. I
definitely could play for Tottenham, but it's just the way you discuss it. Like, could he? Yeah, I think.
Will he come though?
We both rate him. Yeah, definitely. Why are you laughing? Let's go to striker position.
A striker, yeah. So striker, I've gone with Brian Brobby, and I just think he's been so fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think that he's just got so much power in his bones. Like whether or not that's just a really powerful shot, or if he's just really powerful with the defender that's tugging away and trying to pull his shirt. And I think the next step for him could be, can he try and get, and maybe this is not in his hands, but maybe can he try and get fouls out of it and create a situation where defenders feel like they have to be a bit backing off him a little bit, otherwise they'll suffer sort of consequences in that sense.
Do you know how much grace foreign players are given often when they join the league? Like, it's very difficult. The Premier League is so difficult. It's much faster. It's much more physical. Xavi Simons has been given grace. Verts has been given grace this season. He's just come in and gone, this is fine. I can play at this level.
Good point. Yeah, I think there's such a skill in, because we all sometimes will get it wrong in terms of a player in another division, and it's can they replicate the exact same player they are and what they offer, especially when it's power. Can they bring that to the Premier League? And he's just transferred the exact same player that he is in the Premier League. And also, I think, don't let the power take away from the fact that he's only just turned 24, and some of his finishing has been amazing. Like, there was a dip shot that he had, there was a super powerful shot, he scored a header. So already there's a lot to his game.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go left wing.
Left wing, I've gone with Leandro Trossard. And to be honest with you, I think this more just stems from maybe it's underrated, his importance to an Arsenal team. It's interesting because maybe you could say there's not like a particularly standout trait with him, other than maybe I do really like the way he sort of feints and moves on the spot, sort of left to right, and he can really send a defender. Maybe I feel like we'd see more from him if the way Arsenal play, if he put more crosses into the box, because there's in the most recent game he might do the feint, create the space, but then pass back to Declan Rice. But that could just be a style thing. And I think maybe if the balls were going a little bit more into the box and his numbers matched his ability, maybe it'd be rated a bit more.
He scored some huge goals this season.
Yeah.
Though,
I think it's a great shout for underrated, based on the fact that everyone always talks about the left wing position for Arsenal, but the man playing there has got the most goal involvements of any player in their squad.
Yeah, and
10 goals and assists.
And when you think about Arsenal's first 11, most people don't put him in.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Any Tottenham players you think should have made it in there?
I was saying there's no Spurs fans. Spurs players in there. No, none of them are underrated.
None of them are underrated this season, says Flav. So there we can see Nieve's underrated Premier League 11 so far this season. Let us know what you think of that at home.